language always seems so inadequate
Yes.
when we try to talk about God.
Yeah.
It is said that when we try to describe God, we can hear the gates of heaven closing. And yet, this mysterious presence can be experienced in prayer, in contemplative prayer. In your book, The Fruits and Gifts of the Spirit, I was reading this book and I was very touched by your recollection of some experiences that you have encountered in your own life of this presence of God. Could you share with us your recollections of those experiences?
Well, by God's grace, there's quite a few of them. I just mentioned a couple here and there, and that sort of elaborated or brought out the point of the particular gift of the Spirit that I thought was at work in me. These were not things that I merited or did anything to bring about. It was God's infinite mercy. And so the most valuable thing about an experience of God's presence that sort of arises suddenly or takes you by surprise, and it opens a whole new vista on the divine goodness. For instance, there is the story I give there that one time when I was sick, I just stepped out of the infirmary where the monks take care of their sick, onto a tarmac, and there was this full moon, gorgeous harvest moon there. And all of a sudden, I hadn't done anything except feel miserable because I just had a hernia operation and I was in pain. I was suddenly surrounded by and penetrated absolutely to the core by a presence that was almost everything at once, immense, yet so gentle, humble, yet so awesome, totally present, yet so respectful of my freedom, immense, beautiful, but undefined by any particular quality, just all those things at once. And I suddenly realized that this was this gift of God's love for me coincided with the moon that was shining, coming from a culture in which moonlight has always had slightly romantic connotations. I was just convinced that I knew that God had created the moon simply to celebrate the occasion in which he had chosen to reveal his immense love for me. And by that time, I was well aware of where I was because I'd been answering that question for 30 years or so on, and I knew that where I was not where God was. He would have to come after me and call me out. And so as I walked down this road, just to keep moving, this overwhelming joy filled me, and suddenly this tree illuminated, maple tree illuminated, and I saw the whole of my life pass by in about 3 seconds. I knew every detail was there. I don't know why. But it only took a second or two, and I realized that everything was okay. That was the message. So I didn't need to see all the details. They were unimportant. The main thing was the bottom line. Everything that happened is okay. And then as I walked out into the fields, everything was God. The grass growing out of it was coming out of God as the source, and the clouds were manifesting God's diversity, and God was everywhere. And so I was jumping up and down like a boy, like a child, and it was just an overwhelming experience. And but then as I came back and it began to quiet down, and this is the nature of peak experiences, is that they go away. And I think something of their substance always remains. Your orientation has changed. But the beauty of them can gradually disappear, and you come back to the mundane affairs of life, and now the presence of God in everything is very subdued. It needs still to grow, but it's not the overwhelming sense that takes place in a peace experience. And of course, I realized that God feels the same about everybody. It wasn't just me. I just happened to be representative of the human family for whom God has created everything too. And since there's no place for pride or to feel that one is the chosen soul, it's just that the veil that hides this immense love of God for us was temporarily, briefly revealed to me in some degree. And so now I could see that in a new way, God's point of view towards us, and that it's not up to us to earn his love or to win his love or to think that by a good life we're going to be rewarded. This is not the way God works, not in this creation, but everything comes from the divine mercy. And so I realize that this love is a sheer gift. And this is the problem that people who think of God as a just God and a rewarder of their good deeds make. This is not a place where that kind of justice works. And these people are in danger of missing the invitation to divine union because they're depending on themselves to win God's favor by deeds.